making Pokemon good again, a concept that a lot of fans are really fascinated by. Over the years, Pokemon has gone through a lot of changes, but has somehow stayed the same in some ways. And while even cutting content and mechanics, today I'm here with my short video essay on what it would be like if we took Pokemon and brought it to the next level, and create some truly great entries to this franchise again. My name is Cosmo, and as per usual, let's jump into this topic. But before we do that, guys, we're still a small channel, and 99% of you aren't subscribed, so click the button, it'll go a long way, broskies, and I appreciate it a bunch. Also, this video is 100% my opinion, based on how I feel and what I've researched. Just want to get that off my chest. So to start things off, I think Pokemon really started to trail off around 2013. Game Freak had a lot on their hands, and despite Gen 5 delivering so many good aspects, those games didn't sell as well as you'd think. Game Freak's new approach would be to streamline the development process. From this point onward, we would only start to see lesser quality characters, story, and the thing I'm ultimately getting at is the graphics. Now before you scream, graphics don't make a game, Cosmo, well, Pokemon at its soul is a top-down RPG, with cute chibi-esque sprites and a luxurious pixelated overworld. Since we departed from that, locations have been less memorable, and gameplay has felt some level of empty feeling, leaving the player wanting more. Now when you compared 3D models and the awkward mixture of 2D mechanics with 3D environments, it's a bit of an uncanny valley, which is why I think the next truly fantastic Pokemon game will be one that returns to its roots. Think Octopath Traveler-esque graphics, but with a Pokemon style. And not to say 3D Pokemon is terrible, we have had great entries that have done it right, but I think it would be great to revisit what made Pokemon truly great to begin with. And although I'm really excited to see this Breath of the Wild as Sinnoh game that's coming out in 2022, Legends Arceus, it looks super hype, I do want to see more 2D stuff in the future. So let's say we get that. Let's say in 2023, we get a Pokemon Direct that announces a fully traditional 2D Pokemon experience, but revitalized for Nintendo Switch with modern day. Well, now we actually have to jump into the mechanics and the features that would have to return for these games. The first being the National Dex. Ever since Game Freak took out most of the Pokedex just to sell it back to us in DLC and home subscriptions, it has not felt the same. I really think a huge main series game on the Switch could have an unimaginably big region, or even a game with 2 regions like Gold and Silver. With a traditional 2D plane, lots of areas means lots of encounter slots. So this would allow for more Pokemon and for the National Dex to make its much needed return. And that goes without saying, more development time is a requirement. Look at the Call of Duty franchise. Every year we get a new game pumped out, and for the most part, they're mediocre titles. Activision's treatment of their franchises kinda rings true in Pokemon nowadays. Imagine if instead of getting a bunch of okay-ish Pokemon games in a generation, we traded quantity for quality. I think it would yield excellent results from Game Freak since they wouldn't have to split their teams up for different games, and this way you could have a big team working all together, focused on big projects, similar to how Zelda operates with their development cycles. Heck, even if they wanted to keep pumping out games, you could still do this, just outsource the less relevant ones to the third-party developers. We can have the best of both worlds that way. Now the next checkbox that we would have to check is follow Pokemon and ride Pokemon. Having your Pokemon following you was added in Sword and Shield DLC, but it feels lifeless. With sprites you can be more creative and colorful, and it has more charm. This is one of the most beloved features Pokemon fans love, and dates all the way back to Pokemon Yellow where Pikachu would follow you around and emote when you talk to it. It just adds personality and builds a better bond with your little friend you have out front. Now ride Pokemon are actually introduced in Sun and Moon, which are 3D Pokemon games, but were an excellent substitute for HMs. I think that mechanic is a little bit outdated, and I think you could do an even better job of making the overall work with them in a 2D top-down environment. It would be interesting to see just how Ride Pokemon would work in a sprite setting, so hopefully one day we see those return. Now, a good Pokemon game obviously needs a great post-game, and who wouldn't want to see the Battle Frontier and Pokemon contests make a return? Both of these had their own separate setup to do well in, and provided dozens of hours of fun. You could even expand and add more facilities, maybe integrate Wi-Fi battling into it in some way with the medals, and your win-loss ratio. Contests were replaced with musicals, and while they weren't exactly bad, they definitely were not as good as contests, so it'd be great to see them come back. Also, seasons. Seasons were a small quality feature of Generation 5, and most Pokemon games have day and night cycles now, but seasons were a one-time thing. I'd love to see this again. They really nailed it the first time and allows for some beautiful overworld changes, both visually and in the music. And speaking of Gen 5, what about difficulty settings? Challenge mode was a cool post-game thing you could do if you chose to. Maybe it's finally time we add beginner, normal, and challenge difficulties to Pokemon games when starting your adventure. Just imagine, you start out on beginner, you go through your game, you have a pretty easy time, you get a feel for the region, you get a feel for the Pokemon, but then you put it up to normal, and the game is still playable, and still pretty easy, but you get some higher level curves, maybe an extra Pokemon or two on some trainers, maybe some less good encounter slots, so it makes the game a little bit harder to push through. And then challenge mode would just have like Nuzlocke, Kaizo-esque playthroughs where you just have to fight against teams that you need to plan around. You have to really go in on your team building, and there would be level caps, and you could just do so many things with these difficulty settings. And the next thing that needs to come back, and I think a lot of people will actually agree with me on this, is the experience share and the Versus Seeker. When asked about the experience share in Sword and Shield, the developers simply respond saying that the item doesn't exist in the game. Now, they integrated it to be a part of how experience progression works, and I guess that would be fine in a beginner-esque difficulty, but it really lessens the importance of catching other Pokemon when you can just build 1 to 2 up and be vastly overleveled and sweep through the game. Make it so sharing experience is optional, and at the very least, bring back the VS Seeker so we can reset trainer fights for stuff like money grinding. That would be really awesome. Lastly, in-game events for mythical Pokemon and Wi-Fi events. Let me ask you a question, folks. Which sounds like the best option to have in your video game? Option 1. Obtaining an event item by going to a Toys R Us or a local event or store. Then you come home, get on the couch, get the item from the guy in the Pokemart when you boot up your game, and then you go to the ferry or talk to an NPC, and then you get to go on another adventure in a new area, something like a mysterious mountain that contains vast lore of the Pokemon universe, or even a faraway island that has you chase down a rare mythical creature. Or option B, downloading the Pokemon file directly to your cartridge via a code or connecting to an EB Games or GameStop Wi-Fi network. I gotta tell you, some of the best times playing Pokemon was researching and finding these event mythical Pokemon and doing weird glitches to get access to them on future playthroughs. It used to have so much soul. And honestly, that's the entire point of this video, is adding soul back to the Pokemon franchise. It feels so much like a product now. And this is one of the big things that stands out to me. Like, just having to download these event Pokemon rather than experience them before you're able to get them. Like, you actually go through the effort of going to this store and then doing the event in the game and getting to interact with NPCs and having a cool cutscene and a battle. Now it's just you download it with a code. Like, it's so soulless. Bring back the soul. Bring back the effort and love that used to go into Pokemon games, Game Freak. Now, I know a lot of people love the 3D games, and there's much more to be desired. Just a couple of things I've mentioned could make a world of a difference. And on that note, I really am looking forward to the future of Pokemon. I'm really looking forward to Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I'm sure that the Diamond and Pearl remakes will be okay. It's an open world Pokemon game in the style of Breath of the Wild that takes place in ancient Sinnoh. What more could we ask for? This is a breath of fresh air in its own right, and will be an interesting take on Pokemon, and it will be interesting to see how it turns out. But yes, guys, that is going to be everything. I hope you really enjoyed the video. It'd mean a lot if you click that subscribe button. I'm going to be exclusively making new Pokemon essay type content like this, so be sure to stick around. Check out my other videos for more awesome Pokemon content, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.